Jason Miller was only 17, but life had already dealt him every hardship imaginable. Abandoned by his parents at a young age, he bounced through the foster system in Northern California. Now, in his final year of high school, he worked nights at a 24-hour diner in San Jose and slept in a local youth shelter. Despite his struggles, Jason kept a 3.8 GPA and dreamed of studying computer engineering, if he could ever afford college. One rainy night, during his graveyard shift, a sleek Rolls-Royce pulled up to the empty diner. Out stepped a tall, silver-haired woman dressed in a designer coat and pearls. She looked like she belonged in a Manhattan boardroom, not a greasy spoon off the highway. She ordered coffee and apple pie, then sat at a corner booth, alone. Jason, curious but polite, served her without fuss. But she noticed his careful manners, how he carried himself with quiet pride and the spark of intelligence in his eyes. They spoke briefly. She asked about his studies, and he spoke of his passion for computers. She smiled, but didn't say much more. Over the next 2 weeks, she returned, always during the night shift, always asking for Jason. Slowly, their conversations deepened. She introduced herself as Margaret Whitmore, CEO of a now silent tech company that once powered half the microchips in Silicon Valley. She was 71, a widow, and had no children. Then one night she said something Jason couldn't process at first. "I want you to marry me." Jason laughed awkwardly. "You're joking, right?" "I'm not," she replied calmly. "I've spent my entire life building and watching people chase me for what I have. But you don't flinch. You're not after anything. That's why I want you to have everything." Jason was stunned. "You don't even know me." "Oh, I do," she said with a glint in her eye. "Better than you realize." It felt absurd. He was a broke 17-year-old. She was a 71-year-old billionaire. It didn't make sense, but Margaret wasn't pushy. She gave him 3 days to think. No pressure, no promises beyond a legally sound prenuptial agreement, complete transparency, and full control over his decisions. Jason spoke to no one about it. Who would believe him? He had no family, no close friends, and no future in sight. His college dreams were slipping away, and now here was a woman offering him a new life. He accepted. The ceremony was small, just 2 witnesses and a private attorney. No press, no guests. Jason moved into Margaret's estate, unsure of what he'd done. For the next 7 days, things were quiet. Margaret treated him with gentle respect, but never forced intimacy or expectations. She gave him full access to the mansion, but asked him never to open the study room on the 3rd floor. He agreed, until one evening, he found a small gold key tucked inside a book on her nightstand, clearly marked with the study's initials. That's when Jason realized there was something Margaret hadn't told him. And what he'd find in that room would change everything. Jason stood at the threshold of the forbidden study, the gold key trembling in his hand. Curiosity gnawed at him. He had respected every boundary Margaret had set in their quiet, surreal marriage. But something about that key, left so deliberately, made him feel like he was meant to open the door. With a hesitant breath, he slid the key into the lock. It clicked open with surprising ease. The room was dim, filled with old books, leather chairs, and the scent of cedar and dust. But what caught Jason's attention was the wall of photographs. Dozens of them, carefully framed. Every single one was of him. Jason stared in disbelief. There he was at age 8, sitting on the front steps of a foster home in Stockton. Another photo showed him helping his 3rd-grade teacher clean the blackboard. Then one of him at 15, handing out flyers on the street. Pictures he didn't even know existed. A stack of manila folders sat neatly on a desk. Inside were documents, academic records, school letters, hospital receipts, even a copy of a scholarship application he'd written and never submitted. All with his name, all time-stamped and traced back years. He sat down overwhelmed. Just then, he noticed a sealed envelope labeled, "To Jason when he's ready." With shaking hands, he opened it. "Dear Jason, you must be wondering how I knew so much about you. The truth is, I've been following your journey since you were 10. You don't remember, But one rainy night in Oakland, I saw a little boy give his only sandwich to a homeless man while his own stomach growled. That boy was you. I tried to help from a distance. Anonymous donations to your schools, covering your emergency hospital visit when you fell off a bike, making sure your shelter received funding when it was about to shut down. But no matter how much I gave, I realized you never let it define you. You stayed kind, resilient, and ambitious. The world saw a poor boy. I saw a future leader. I offered marriage not to confuse or trap you, but to protect your pride. I didn't want to hand you charity. I wanted to give you choice. And now, with my estate secure and no heirs, I want you to have it. Not just the wealth, but the legacy. What you do next is yours to decide. With admiration, Margaret. Jason sat in silence for hours. The woman he thought was a mysterious billionaire widow wasn't random at all. She had watched over him for years. She didn't just offer him a new life, she believed in the one he could build for himself. When Margaret returned from her trip that evening, Jason hugged her tightly. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. "You don't have to say anything," she replied. "Just live a life you're proud of." From that day forward, Jason began studying business under Margaret's mentorship. He eventually launched a foundation for foster youth, naming it after her late husband. Their marriage evolved, not of romance, but of deep respect and partnership. The world never understood their story, but Jason did, and that was enough.